What's going on, fight fans? This is your boy Cammy bringing you back another video on my predictions of the week for UFC Fight Night Blaydes versus Daukaus. Before I get into the video, please leave me a like, a subscribe if you enjoy the content, and leave a comment in the section below on what are your favorite bets of the night. Let's jump right into it. First fight of the night, we got Luis Saldana versus Bruno Sosa. These guys are both primarily strikers slash kickers. The betting line is pretty much near even money. This is pretty much a coin flip in my mind. Both guys coming off a loss. My prediction is going to be Luis Saldana. I think he has a slightly better kicking slash striking. Looking at the predictions of the MMA community below, people are leaning towards Sosa by decision, but I think Saldana is going to win by decision. Next, let's jump into this one. This is also an interesting one with some decent value on this one. I think I'm going to bet this one. So we have David Dvorak against Mateusz Nicolau. Both good strikers. Nicolau pretty well-rounded all around. I think he's a jiu-jitsu black belt. Like I said, good striking, good kicks. I think that in this situation, David Dvorak is a little bit more tactical and has a slight better IQ overall. So I think this is what is going to win him the fight, in my opinion. But pretty close fight overall as a whole. Let's see what the MMA community thinks on this one. People are also leaning towards Dvorak by decision. I think this is something you can add to one of your parlays to add some solid value. So Dvorak by decision. Next, we have Jennifer Maia against Manon Fiorot, another French fighter. I'm going to be watching this one with a lot of attention. I think Manon Fiorot is definitely the better fighter. Jennifer Maia's path to victory here is to try to take her down and submit her or just out-grapple her and win by points. I think Manon Fiorot should be able to defend the takedowns and impose her much better striking and win by decision or possibly a knockout. Most people think that Fiorot is also going to win by decision or KO TKO, which is what I was thinking. I don't know if the odds, I never like these heavy favorites on women fights because, you know, anything can happen, but I do see Manon Fiorot winning. Next fight, we have, I'm not even going to try to pronounce the first names here. We have Kizriev against T Luu Lin. So this one is pretty straightforward in my mind. Kizriev seems to be a much better fighter overall, much better striker, much better grappler. He's one of these Russian, destroyers. He's just going to come in and try to wrestle and completely out-grapple Dennis. I think that he's completely more well-rounded, hence the odds, minus 350. He fought on the Contender Series and absolutely obliterated the guy. So in my mind, this is a pretty straightforward pick. Kizriev by decision or KO, but yeah, or by submission actually as well. But this is a pretty straightforward one, minus 350, pretty easy in my mind. Next, we have Bat Gerel Dana against Chris Gutierrez. So this is a solid matchup. This is going to be a fight, or has all the potential to be a firefight in my mind. So we're looking at Dana being the much better boxer, smooth striking, and we're looking at Chris Gutierrez, who has pretty good striking, but mostly excellent kicks, leg kicks, and very solid detrimental calf kicks. So this one, Dana is a slight favorite at minus 160, which I can see why. I think he has the much better smooth boxing. And I think that, if he's able to touch up Gutierrez early, pop the jab, and start to manage the distance well, then this is going to be his fight to win. And so Gutierrez also has a solid shot, considering the calf kicks, that could be detrimental to Dana's path to victory. But I think overall, Dana should pick up the decision here, or maybe a KO TKO, considering his much better boxing acumen. Next, we have Sara McMann against Karol Rosa. So Sara McMann is a UFC veteran. She's been around forever, but I think she's approaching her 40s nowadays. Her path to victory is always to grapple, go for takedowns, and then try to grapple and, lay and pray a little bit. Not very active on the ground. Does at times, throw some solid ground and pounds, but against a young contender, young hungry contender like that, I don't think it's going to happen here. I think Karol Rosa has the much better striking, and I think she has good grappling as well, and she'll be able to defend the takedowns. Also, Sara McMann's boxing is not the greatest. She always has a chin straight up in the air, and she gets popped in the face quite a bit. So I think that this is Karol Rosa's fight to win. I think she has all the skills to win. She's much more well-rounded all around, much younger, probably much hungrier at this stage of her career. So I'm going to say Karol Rosa by decision. Next, we got an interesting fight. The main fight of the prelims. We have Neil Magny against Max Griffin. This is a difficult one to pick in my mind. Neil Magny coming in at a minus 210 favorite. I never really like those odds in MMA. 2-1. They're always a little bit sketchy for me. Just looking at the value on Griffin here, it really looks like the bookies want you to smash the value and try to pick up that bet. I think Magny is a much taller, much lengthier fighter, which is hard to deal with these long jabs, his long 1-2s, his little kicks. Magny is not necessarily going to be the guy who's going to pick up the finish, but his volume and his space can truly make other fighters tired and, wear them down throughout the rounds. I think this is going to be a dogfight. I think the path to victory for Max Griffin here is going to be to look to grapple Magny. Magny has some solid grappling, and there could be some good grappling transitions and exchanges throughout this fight, I believe. Just looking at the value here, I'm really tempted to just hammer Max Griffin money line on a single bet, plus 175. That's just really, really good value here. Max Griffin, solid fighter, been around for a while, has fought a who's who of opponent. So this is going to be my underdog pick of the night, I think. Max Griffin. I think Max Griffin by decision. Everyone is smashing Magny, but I see a path to victory for Griffin here. And considering the value, that's going to be my pick for this one. Next, we have Marc Diakiese against Borschev. I will never in my life again bet on Diakiese. I can't find myself to do that again. I've trusted that guy so many times, and every single time he comes up short and disappoints me, always finds a way to lose. His fight IQ doesn't seem to be the best. I had such high hopes for that guy. He seemed to be a top prospect. He always finds a freaking way to lose, and it's just it's been detrimental to his career. He's on a 2-fight losing streak. If he loses this one, he might be cut. And I think in this matchup, he's a much better kicker. He could try to look to wrestle Borschev, because Borschev seems to be mainly a striker, but Borschev has the much better boxing. And I think he'll be able to defend the takedowns if Diakiese tries that at any point throughout the fight. What could come into play into this fight could be Diakiese's kicks as well. But once again, I cannot trust that guy for the life of me after all these bets he's cost me throughout the years. So I do have Borschev most likely by KO TKO. Next, we have Ilir Latifi against Alexey Oleynik. This is a pretty good fight. Oleynik is actually on a 3-fight losing streak. Ilir Latifi just picked up a win in his last fight. This fight is taking place at heavyweight. So Ilir Latifi, a pretty small heavyweight to be considered. I think he's the much better wrestler, obviously. I think he's the much better striker. He probably has the much better gas tank. Oleynik is a little bit of a one-trick pony at this stage of his career. He's always got these solid submissions, in his arsenal, and you have to be very careful and wary of. But I think that Latifi is, he's crafty and he's a veteran. He's intelligent enough to stay at bay and stay away from those by not engaging and by fighting his smartest fight. So I would look for Latifi to keep it on the feet and outstrike him, and not really follow Oleynik too much to the ground if it presents itself. So on this one, I'm going to go by Latifi by decision or KO TKO at minus 160. Pretty good value on him, to be quite honest, if I had to say. Next, very, very solid fight. We have Askarov against Kara France. This is a solid fight. I mean, Askarov, probably a future champ. You know, just looking at his fights, he only has one draw on his record, and that was to the former champ. And then we have Car France, who's also a very solid prospect, who's been getting much better as of late. Solid hands, good takedown defense. I just think that in this fight, Askarov's relentlessness to pursue the takedowns and grappling exchanges is going to be a pain in the butt for Car France. I think Car France is the much better striker, but I think it's going to wear on him throughout the fight if Askarov is constantly pursuing those takedowns and just like has an insane amount of cardio. Just the guy does not stop coming. So I don't see Car France being able to constantly defend those takedowns, and I think that Askarov picks up a decision in this one, or potentially a submission. Next, we have an interesting one. Two veterans of the sports, Matt Brown and Bryan Barberena. Matt Brown still fighting in the UFC is kind of impressive to me. I mean, the guy is definitely on the latter stages of his career, definitely on a little bit of of a downfall, although he picked up a win in his last one. And then Barberena, who's a very he's having a hard time keeping some consistency throughout his fights, to be honest. He's a great guy. He's got very good cardio, very good output. So in this fight, I would look for Barberena to work on his output and his volume to wear down Matt Brown. Matt Brown, always has that big knockout power, big elbows. But I think that Barberena's volume is going to be the deciding factor in this fight, and I think he'll pick up a decision. This could be a fight of the night, and this could be a war, but I'm definitely leaning Barberena, even money. Next, we have Joanne Calderwood against Alexa Grasso. Definitely Alexa Grasso all the way for me. I think she's probably the better striker nowadays, although that's what Calderwood is known for. Calderwood's ground game is horrendous. I've seen Alexa Grasso on the game, and she's very slick. So if this fight happens to go on the ground, I could see a submission by Grasso. I definitely think that at this stage of his career, Grasso is more well-rounded everywhere. She's on a 2-fight winning streak. Let's actually look at this line real quick here. I'm quite interested. Grasso. I think Grasso by submission is a good bet in this one. At plus 900, that's some solid value. A lot of Calderwood's losses come by way of submission. So at plus 900, I could see a lot of people just jumping on that and getting some value. I might throw in like 10 or 20 bucks. Try to make a nice little profit. Most people think Grasso wins by decision, but that's going to be my pick for this one. Lastly, we have Curtis Blaydes against Chris Daukaus. That's a very interesting fight. Let's see what people are saying in this one. I think that Blaydes is definitely the much better wrestler. His striking is ever evolving. He's been knocked out quite a bit and quite violently in his fights. Although he's fought, some solid fighters. He's fought Ngannou twice, has gotten knocked out twice, or at least TKO in the first one. Fought Derek Lewis, got sparked out. That was a bad knockout. So I have a little bit of I have some raising questions considering his chin. I think Chris Daukaus has very smooth striking, excellent cardio, pretty good takedown defense, good grappling. So in this fight, I see a dog play as well, to be quite honest. I think that Chris Daukaus might be taken down in the early rounds, but I think he'll find a way to find his way back to his feet. I think he can create some grappling exchanges possibly, but I think if the longer this fight goes, I think the more Chris Daukaus has a chance, just considering his cardio. I know Blaydes also has an excellent cardio tank. But I think Chris Daukaus, is pretty loose, pretty fluid if he's able to maintain the range and then just play his game and then just throw some nice combinations on the feet and try to avoid the takedowns and maybe get taken down a couple of times, but find the way back to his feet. He'll be able to pick up this one. I could see Chris Daukaus by KO TKO, honestly. He's pretty smooth and he's got good pace, good output. This guy he's a solid fighter in my opinion. So that's it for today, guys. For my predictions, I appreciate every one of you tuning in and just watching my predictions. Please leave me a like, subscribe if you enjoy the content, and leave some comments in the section below on who your favorite bets or fighters are for the night. Peace.